Hey there, I'm Jennifer Valor, productivity coach and your host of the Child Free Biz Cafe, the podcast where child-free entrepreneurs define success on their terms. In each episode, I sit down with inspiring business owners and creators, exploring their unique journeys, challenges, triumphs, and lessons learned. Passionate about the incredible fulfillment of the child-free lifestyle, we'll chat over your favorite coffee or tea in our virtual cafe. From entrepreneurs to artists, we uncover secrets to success, share practical tips, and celebrate diverse paths in the child-free life. So get ready for insightful conversations, empowering stories, and a community that embraces their child-free life. This is the Child Free Cafe where fulfillment and happiness meets entrepreneurship. And today I'm so excited to be talking to Christina Lawrence, the bio writer. Hey, Christina, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Jennifer. I'm thrilled that you asked. So thank you again for having me.
Of course. Let's just dive right in. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, so I am the bio writer and I write professional bios for people who are ready to share their multifaceted brilliance with those who need them. So that doesn't necessarily mean just business owners. That does include business owners, but it also can include people who are professionals working under the umbrella of working for someone else, as well as creatives and women business owners. They're some of my favorite people to work with.
That's awesome. Yeah, so share your child-free journey.
Sure. So when I was younger, I thought that having children was something that I wanted just because it seemed like the thing that everybody wanted. And as time grew on, I realized that that wasn't in fact what I wanted. What I really wanted was to help people with my words.
Mhm.
And it took a little bit of a life detour for me to come to that realization, but I'm glad that I did, and I'm glad that I followed my calling and didn't succumb to the pressure of doing something just because, everybody else thought that it was the thing to do. So a little bit about me, I got married when I was in my 20s. And at that time, I thought I wanted, the white picket fence, the husband, the children. And the more time I spent out there, I realized that that wasn't, in fact, what I wanted. By the time I realized that, I had to do a bit of soul searching and examine what it was I really wanted out of this life. And it took a great catalyst in my life. It actually took my father passing away for me to examine what happiness meant to me. And children and happiness did not exist in the same realm for me. I didn't want to be a mother and I didn't want to have to keep pretending that that's what I wanted. I made the decision to exit the marriage and we had an amicable divorce. And now I'm back in my hometown building my business and growing my presence both on and offline.
Yeah, it's been such a journey, and I am so proud of you. I've personally gotten to work with you over the years and just see your transition and your growth and just everything. So it's incredible how far you've come.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you so much.
yeah.
And maybe I should tell this story. You're the reason why I have the title, the bio writer, because when I first moved back to my hometown, I didn't quite realize what I was going to do. I knew I could write, but I just didn't know what I was writing or who I was writing
Mhm.
for. And you remember we had this
Yep.
conversation where you said, "Oh man, you write bios for people. You're the bio writer." And it was like, I tell this story, it was like a gong went off. It was like, yes, that's right. That's what I do. And it just resonated. And as it so happened, nobody else seemed to be using that term. I gained the URL for it, which was a huge win for me. And now
Yeah.
I've got my website live, which has been a decade in the making, as it's been a long road with that. But yeah, I'm very happy to be the bio writer and to help people share their brilliance in this way. So thank you to you for helping me
Oh,
identify what it was that I did and the value that I could provide.
oh, of course. I'm glad it registered so well. Being child free and having this extra flexibility, I did not write that question. into an actual question. So tell us about how being child-free and having that flexibility was like transitioning to full-time to your business.
Sure. I used to work an 8:30 to 5 job, and I left that job in the summertime. And since then, I've been adapting my schedule to best meet my needs. So what that means is I don't work well in the mornings. I'm not a morning person. I tried it for years in a previous career, and I did it, but I don't say I did it well. I did it and I worked through it. But now what I do is I typically book my meetings later on in the morning around 10, so that I have that morning time just to gain my energy
Yeah.
and honor my energy, because I'm a little slow moving in the morning. I need some time to gather my thoughts and my energy. And I have meetings in the afternoon too, as well, just for flexibility. And then in the evenings, that's when I do some of my best work. That being said, I'm open to working on projects, in the afternoon as well, and meeting with people in the evening as well, because some of my clients have children, and that's when they can meet, is after the
Mhm.
kids go to bed. So I'm happy to meet with people in the evenings, and be flexible in that way for my clients.
Yeah. So outside of that, how has being child-free in general affected your life and business?
It feels a lot more in alignment being child free with the lifestyle that I want to live. I feel that if you want to have a child, that's great. And you need to really, this is going to sound so obvious, but if you want to have a child, you really need to want to have a child.
Mhm.
In my personal case, I never had that deep desire to do that. It's not something that I wanted for myself. I kept waiting for that desire to show up and to come, but it never did. And I spent quite a few years wondering what was so wrong with me that I didn't want this. I didn't want something that everybody else seemed to want. And in my community where I'm from, it's a little different now, but back when I was in my 20s, not wanting a child was kind of a strange thing. It wasn't really heard of. And it wasn't actually until you and I met where we had the conversation of it's okay to not want to have a child, and it's okay to want to grow your business and put your energy into that and have that be your legacy instead of, say, a child or children. So just coming to terms with accepting that it's okay and fine to want what you want. And more importantly, it's crucial to not go down a path that everyone else expects you to go down, because that's not being true to yourself. Being true to me means having that freedom and flexibility to run my business from anywhere. I wouldn't necessarily be able to do, some people do it with success. They have children and they live abroad. I'm not sure that I'm equipped for that type of lifestyle. I like the solopreneur lifestyle. I like being able to work when I want and
Mhm.
be available to my business when it best suits me. And having children, I mean, children are great. I don't want to bash children at all. But in my case, just having that freedom and flexibility to work when I want, where I want is so valuable to me. And being able to pursue the lifestyle that I want is important to me as well.
Oh, absolutely. That's actually seems to be one of the main common threads among everyone I've interviewed, and it's just so reassuring.
Yeah, it's okay to want what you want. And it's even more important to know what it is you want, because if
Right.
you don't know, then you're going to possibly go down a path that isn't right for you and could lead to pretty serious consequences. I think there would be nothing worse than somebody not wanting to have a child being forced into having a child and having that resentment. I don't feel
Yeah.
that that's conducive to a happy parenthood or a happy childhood for the child, or even a happy marriage with your spouse. There's
Right.
always going to be this underlying feeling of resentment, and that's not healthy or good for anyone involved.
No. So being business owners and creators, not many people get us. in general. And then on top of that, being child free, it can seem even lonelier until we find that community, which is one of the main reasons I wanted to create this podcast and my YouTube channel and everything. So, how has your experience been with that?
This is an interesting question, and I'll answer it in just a second, but I wanted to commend you on creating this channel because I've seen the social media response to your inquiries about, who would like to be on my child-free podcast, and the response has been tremendous. I think you had close to like 70 comments or more, people just wanting to be guests on the show, and that speaks to how untapped this collective voices of child-free entrepreneurs. So kudos to you for
Oh,
creating this channel
thank
and
you.
creating this show. Yeah, you're welcome. Because I feel like not a lot of people are asking these questions, and the response is showing me that yes, we do have a voice. Yes, we do have a perspective we want to share, and that is important as well. So going back to how this relates to me, how I overcome the loneliness, because it can be lonely. I'm also single and single by choice, and it does get lonely for sure. And how I deal with that is, I get out in the community as much as I'm able to. I connect with friends. I connect with a different friend every day, or sometimes the same friend every day, depending on how the week goes, especially during the winter months when it's so easy to hibernate and just close in. More important than ever to reach out to your people and people who understand. I have a few child-free friends in my circle, especially entrepreneurs who just they get it, right? They understand challenges that come with it. So connecting with like-minded people and creating some good self-care rituals have helped ease the loneliness a bit. So when I say self-care rituals, what I mean is I meditate every morning and evening. I meditate that's the first thing I do when I wake up. What I used to do is I used to scroll social media, like do the doom scroll. What wires am I putting out today? But now I make a point to not touch social until at least after I've meditated. Sometimes it can even wait until after I've had a shower. But just putting off that social media helps me overcome that piece of loneliness. And then other self-care rituals I incorporate, I make sure to eat a relatively healthy diet. I take at least one day a week to meal prep to make healthy meals a week. My schedule allows for that. I can go to the grocery store at 7 o'clock at night if I want to, and no one has a problem with it. It's completely up to me. And just being grateful for all that I have and not feeling out of sorts for what I don't have. I think we can get into the trap of comparisonitis, especially when we're looking at social media and how great everyone else's highlight reel is. And that's not necessarily the truth. And the biggest thing I've learned, not just as a child-free entrepreneur, but as a human, is that we all struggle in some capacity. And it's important to ask each other for help when needed. No one's an island, right? No one's just one island by themselves. We need a collective community around us of people who support us and understand. So that's one of my goals for this year is establishing and maintaining those connections with people that are so dear to me.
Yeah, just building relationships, having friends and everything just is so important. And creating your version of what a family dynamic is, which can become like your closest friends and things like that. All of those different relationships are so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you touched on that because I'm really embracing the idea of a chosen family. Just reaching out to the people who invest in me and who care about me and who bring good energy into my life. That's important to me.
Yeah. And those are the only type of people we need to have in our circle. Everyone else can just fuck off. So
Yeah.
what has been a couple of main ways you've been getting clients since going full time?
So a few ways I've been getting clients. I've been tapping into my existing network and seeing who is interested and going to networking events. I'm a proud member of my local Chamber of Commerce, and they're also a client of mine, the Chamber of Commerce. And I'm super thrilled to have them as a client and power partner because they often refer me to other people.
Mm,
So, getting on board with some local organizations like the Chamber. I'm also working with Community Futures as well. I've done some work for Community Futures within my community. They're a nonprofit that helps entrepreneurs get started in their businesses and
nice.
helping to share their stories. So that's exciting, having a few power partners in my circle. And also going to the networking events. Our chamber has a networking event the last Thursday of every month. So I definitely make a point to show up and be there and introduce myself. And I'm a bit of an introvert, so this comes with a bit of a balance. So for me, I try to make a point to connect with two people at every event. And it may not seem like a lot, but it gives me that time to have that
Mhm.
one-on-one time with them and really get to know them and their business, because the nature of my work is quite personal.
Right.
So it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to kind of spray myself across the room, for lack of a better word. It makes more sense for me to connect one-on-one with somebody who is really interested in what I do and have that quality conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, our chamber meets the first Friday of the month, so I'm excited to go to that this week as well. But yeah,
Awesome.
just being in the community is so important.
And being visible on social media too, letting people know where I'm at, what I'm doing. I'm a lot more active on social now than I ever have been.
Hmm.
And people are noticing. They're
Yep.
telling me, Christina, I saw you posted about this event, or, it's so cool to see your post about this event. And that to me indicates that people are starting to see me more and they're
Hmm.
starting to trust me more. And that leads to clients and referrals as well.
Absolutely. There's so many lurkers just in general. So no matter how few likes or comments, it feels like you get like people are watching, and that's what's important. It's the
Yes, especially
eyeballs.
Well, especially on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the land of the lurkers, I find. But again, you never know who's watching or who is learning from you.
Right.
And if you keep showing up, chances are eventually they will reach out to you, because obviously they're interested in you. They're
Mhm.
interested in what you're doing. They continue to consume your content, whether you're aware of it or not. It's important
Right.
to keep showing up and keep shining as your authentic self, no matter what field you're in.
Exactly. So why does everyone need a bio, especially business owners, creators, brands, professionals?
Well, this is the million-dollar question. Everyone needs a bio simply because it showcases the beauty and magic of who you are as a human and what you do, as well as the value you provide. A lot of us, I'm going to say the good majority of us, don't truly understand our own significance until someone else points it out to us.
Hmm.
So having that bio can serve as a touchstone for you when you're looking for a job, or again, starting a business. Maybe you're going to be on a podcast. What's the first thing a podcast host asks you for when they agree to have you on their show? They want to see your bio.
Hmm.
And if you're not confident sending that bio to them, it's going to be that much harder to believe in the message that you're trying to portray. And I've had so many people come to me and say, somebody wrote my bio and they just botched it. And that breaks my heart, because there's nothing worse than not being understood, especially by somebody you hire to understand you.
Hmm.
So I make it my mission to understand people and the value they bring, and put it together in a way that feels good to them and a way that they're excited to share with the world, because everyone has their own significance and their own unique brilliance. And that's what a bio is for. It's there to showcase that and, again, showcase the magic of who you are as a human.
Yeah. So writing bios isn't like a very common skill set in general or title many people have. I mean, I've heard of more people since you've started yours, but it's still few and far between. So what would your process look like when someone wants you to do a bio for them?
So it depends on the bio package they choose, but basically what will happen is I curate a list of questions for them ahead of time so they have time to think about their answers. And we get together either virtually or in person, depending on their location and preference. And we get together and have a bit of a conversation. And I call it a bio building session, not an interview, strategically, because the word interview tends to make people sweat a little bit. Sometimes I'll throw it in there depending on who I'm speaking with and their level of professionalism. If it's a creative, I try to leave the word interview completely off the table. Basically, the bio building session is a chance for me to get to know you in the best way, the best, most comfortable way possible. And then from there, what I do is take what you've said and condense it into a bio, again, depending on how long of a bio you want. But that's where my magic happens, is taking all those little pieces that you gave me during the bio building session and wrapping them together in a way that makes sense, is easy to read, easy to follow,
Mm.
and is something that you can use for months and years to come in your business. There's so many ways for you to repurpose your bio, whether you're putting it on your about page on your website, whether you're putting it on your LinkedIn profile, whether you're putting it in a mini magazine talking about who you are and the value you provide. Other clients have used their bio for brochures. Another client of mine, he's a real estate agent. He puts it in every single market update that he gives to his clients. So his clients know who he is, and it creates that brand consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And within that bio, I also create a PDF. So it has links to all his social media platforms. So if somebody receives it as a PDF rather than a paper file, they can just click on the various social media profiles and find him right there. Basically, it makes you more accessible to the people who
Right.
need you most.
Yeah. Love it. It's a very structured, particular process. And I've read a bunch of the bios you've written, and you've written one for me, and they're just so beautiful. So they are totally worth it for sure. You just have a special way with words and sh creating and sharing stories. That's like, this is my way of doing it, but like, you're on a whole other level, which is so cool. So of course I had to have you on here.
Thank you so much. I'm a natural born storyteller, and that means a lot to me.
Yeah, it's definitely obvious that you're natural at it, because I have to try very, very hard. What is one thing you want everyone to take away today?
One thing I want everyone to take away today is that you are one in, 8 billion people on this planet, and there will never be another you in the history of humanity. Even if you feel like you're not creating an impact or you're not that significant, I'd like to challenge that thought and let you know that you actually are. You're as unique as a fingerprint.
Mhm.
And again, there will only be one you. So it's important to showcase that person and the sparkle behind that person and be proud of the person that you are. Again, because there's only one you.
Absolutely. So how can we get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So you can learn more about what I do on my website, thebiowriter.com. If you'd like, you can always email me, Christina@thebiowriter.com. And you can also find me on Facebook and LinkedIn as well.
I'll have all
I'm,
those links below.
oh, perfect. Sounds
Yep.
great. So you can find me on those two social media platforms. I'm also on Instagram as well, but more active on Facebook and LinkedIn at this time. So those are the
Yeah.
best methods to get a hold of me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's a wrap for today's episode. Thanks for Christina for being here. If you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and send this to a child-free friend. And if you want to connect with me on social, I'm productively child-free everywhere. Remember, you're not alone. Until next time, stay amazing and live life your way.